town was quiet that afternoon, the kind of quiet that makes people feel peaceful. At the old community park, a group of bikers had gathered for their monthly charity event. Their motorcycles shined under the warm sun, and children walked around them, amazed by the bright colors and chrome. The man everyone called Boss stood near a table, helping an elderly woman carry a box of donated food. He looked tough on the outside, but everyone who truly knew him understood he had a soft heart. While he was speaking with a volunteer, he saw something strange from the corner of his eye. A little girl, no more than 7 years old, was running toward the bikers. Her steps were uneven, like she might fall at any moment. Her small hands were clenched, and her face was red from crying. The boss straightened up. Something inside him told him this was not a child who simply got lost. The girl stumbled, almost tripping over her own feet, and then grabbed the edge of the boss's jacket. Her fingers shook so much that the boss gently held her wrist so she would not fall. Her breathing was fast, like she had run far, and her eyes were full of fear. "Please, please help," she said in a trembling voice. "They're hurting my mama." The park went silent. Even the bikers, who usually laughed loudly, paused. The boss slowly knelt so the girl could look straight into his eyes. He knew that when a child spoke with this much fear, something serious was happening. "What's your name, sweetheart?" he asked softly. "Lily," she whispered. "My mama, she needs help." The boss kept his voice calm. "Tell me where she is." She pointed toward the edge of the town, where a line of small houses stood close together. The boss nodded, already making a decision. He looked at two of his most trusted bikers, men who knew how to stay calm in stressful moments, and signaled for them to follow. They didn't argue. They trusted the boss's instincts. The boss picked Lily up gently so she could rest. She looked exhausted. One of the bikers grabbed a bottle of water and handed it to her, but she was too shaken to drink more than a sip. The boss wrapped his jacket around her shoulders. It hung so large on her that it looked like a blanket. As they walked toward their motorcycles, Lily held tightly to the boss's shirt. She kept repeating, "Please hurry," in a small, scared voice. The boss didn't run, but he walked fast and steady. He wanted Lily to feel safe, not more afraid. He placed her on his motorcycle, making sure she sat securely in front of him. "You're safe with us," he told her gently. "We're going to help your mama." Lily nodded, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. The three bikes started their engines, not in a loud or showy way, but in a strong, confident rumble. People at the park watched silently as they rode off. Some whispered to each other, wondering what could be wrong. Others prayed silently for the little girl and her mother. The ride to Lily's home was short, but every second felt heavy. The boss kept glancing down, checking if Lily was okay. Her tiny hands held onto the fuel tank, and her chin trembled. She looked like a child carrying a world too heavy for her small shoulders. Finally, Lily pointed at a small, worn house with peeling paint and a broken fence. "There," she said, her voice tight with fear. The boss slowed the bike and parked it at the edge of the driveway. The other two bikers stopped right behind him. Lily slid off the motorcycle quickly and tugged his hand.
"She's inside."
The house looked quiet, too quiet. The boss didn't hear shouting, but he could sense tension in the air, like the house itself was holding its breath. He walked up to the door and knocked firmly, not aggressive, just strong enough to show that someone serious was outside. "Hello," he called out. "Is everything all right in there?" There was a pause, a long one. Then footsteps approached slowly. A tired-looking woman opened the door. She seemed surprised to see a biker standing outside holding her daughter's hand. Her face showed stress and confusion, but not fear. "Mom," the boss said gently, "we're here to make sure you're okay." Lily was worried. The woman looked down at her daughter and then back at the boss. Her eyes softened, and she nodded slowly, like she understood something she had been carrying alone for too long. The little girl wrapped her arms around her mother's waist. "Mom, I was scared," she whispered. The mother held her close. "I know, sweetheart. It's all right." The boss waited patiently, not rushing her. He didn't want to invade their space, he only wanted to help. This was not the moment for loud words, but for calm understanding. And this moment, this fragile, quiet moment, was only the beginning of a story that would change the entire town. The mother stood in the doorway, holding Lily close as if she feared the world might take her away again. The boss noticed her tired eyes, the way her shoulders slumped, and how she kept glancing back inside the house like something still troubled her. She wasn't scared of him. She looked scared of life itself. "Ma'am," the boss said softly, "we don't want to disturb you. We just want to make sure you and your little girl are safe." The woman took a slow breath, the kind someone takes when they've been holding their feelings in for too long. "We're all right now," she said politely, but her voice lacked strength. I didn't know." She ran out. Lily looked up at her mother with watery eyes. "Mama, I thought they were hurting you." The mother gently stroked her daughter's hair. "No, sweetheart. It was just a loud argument. But I'm okay." The boss exchanged a look with his two bikers. None of them pushed for more details. They understood that sometimes people need time before they can talk. Instead, the boss asked in a calm voice, "Would it be all right if we step inside?" "Only if you're comfortable." The mother hesitated. Not because she feared them, but because she feared letting anyone see how difficult her life had become. After a moment, she opened the door wider and nodded. "Please come in." The inside of the house was small but clean. The furniture was old, the lights flickered slightly, and a few things looked worn out. On the kitchen table, bills were piled up like unwanted guests. The atmosphere felt heavy, not dangerous, just overwhelmed. Two adults stood inside as well, a man and an older woman. Their faces were tired, their expressions uneasy. It was clear they had been arguing, but the moment the bikers entered, they stepped back respectfully. The boss didn't raise his voice or act tough. He spoke to them the same way he spoke to strangers at the charity event. Calm, respectful, but firm enough to bring stability. "We're only here because Lily got scared," he explained. "We want everyone to be all right. That's all." The man nodded. "We didn't mean to frighten her. We were just arguing about money again. It gets loud sometimes." His voice cracked slightly, showing embarrassment and exhaustion. The older woman sighed deeply. "We're all stressed. Bills, repairs, work issues. We didn't realize she heard us and got scared." The boss nodded with understanding. He'd seen families struggle many times before. Not out of bad intent, just life becoming too heavy. He knelt down beside Lily again. "Do you see, sweetheart?" he said gently. "No one was trying to hurt your mama. Sometimes grown-ups talk loudly when they're stressed. But it doesn't mean they want to harm anyone." Lily wiped her nose and nodded. "I just wanted Mama to be safe." Her mother hugged her tighter. "And you did the right thing by asking for help," she whispered. "I'm proud of you." The room softened. Something about the presence of the bikers brought quiet, not chaos. It wasn't their strength. It was their steady calm, the kind that makes people breathe a little easier. The boss stood up. "If you don't mind, I'd like to sit down and talk for a moment," he said. "Not about your personal problems, just about how we can help today." The man and woman looked surprised. No one had offered help before, only judgment. But the boss wasn't like the people who whispered or pointed. He always believed that when someone struggles, what they need most is kindness. They all gathered around the small kitchen table. Lily sat on her mother's lap, still holding her hand. The two bikers remained standing nearby, quiet and respectful. The boss looked at the stack of bills on the table. He didn't comment, he simply said, "Everyone goes through hard times. Sometimes the best thing we can do is support each other. Is there anything you need today? Food? Repairs? Someone to talk to?" The older woman's eyes softened. "We could use, maybe, some help fixing the door. It doesn't close right, and the lights keep flickering. But we don't want to trouble anyone." "It's not trouble," one of the bikers replied with a gentle smile. "We fix things all the time." The mother looked down, embarrassed. "We're not asking for anything. We just want peace." "You'll have it," the boss said quietly. "We're not here to judge. We're here because a brave little girl ran to us for help. That makes her family part of our circle today." Lily looked up at him with big eyes. "You mean you're helping us?" she asked softly. The boss smiled. "Of course. That's what people do for each other." A new warmth filled the room. These weren't bikers who rode around causing fear. They were people with strong hearts, ready to help without asking for anything in return. As the boss walked through the house, noticing small repairs needed here and there, he knew this visit was not just about checking on Lily's mother. It was about bringing light, even a little, into a home that had been carrying too much darkness. And as the family started to relax, something became clear: the real story was only just beginning. The house grew quiet after the bikers entered. The earlier tension slowly faded, like a storm passing and leaving only soft rain behind. The boss sat at the small kitchen table with the family, while Lily stayed close to her mother, still holding her sleeve. The two bikers stood near the doorway, relaxed but alert, giving the room a sense of safety. The boss began gently, "Mom, we don't need every detail. We only want to understand how we can help today." The mother looked at her hands for a long moment. Her fingers trembled slightly, showing how exhausted she truly was. The older woman, Lily's grandmother, placed a calming hand on her shoulder, encouraging her. Finally, the mother sighed. "Life has been very hard lately," she said softly. "Work hours were reduced, bills increased, the roof leaks. The kitchen light doesn't work, and the heater breaks every week." Her voice weakened as she spoke, and she blinked fast to keep herself from crying. The boss nodded with deep respect. He didn't interrupt. He didn't judge. He simply listened. The man in the room, Lily's uncle, added quietly, "We try to fix things ourselves, but everything is old. Every repair needs money we don't have. We've been arguing about how to handle everything." Lily looked confused. "So no one wanted to hurt Mama?" she asked in a tiny voice. Her grandmother shook her head slowly. "No, sweetheart. The grown-ups were only stressed. But we should have been more careful. We didn't realize you were scared." Lily's mother pulled her into her lap. "I'm so sorry, Lily. I should have spoken more calmly." The boss leaned forward slightly, his voice steady. Arguments happen in every home. Stress makes people raise their voices. But what matters is that everyone is safe and willing to talk things out. The family nodded. Their shoulders relaxed little by little, like they were finally letting go of a weight they'd carried alone for too long. One of the bikers walked closer to the broken light switch. "This is flickering because the wiring is loose," he explained gently. "Easy fix." Another biker peeked toward the back door. "And this door just needs new hinges." The mother looked embarrassed again. "We didn't want to ask for help. We've always been independent. We thought people would judge us." The boss shook his head. "Needing help doesn't mean weakness. Everyone needs support at some point." Lily looked at the boss with wide, curious eyes. "Do bikers ask for help too?" He smiled. "Of course. When someone in our group struggles, the rest of us step in. That's what family means." Lily's grandmother let out a breath, relieved by his reassurance. "You know," she said, "people in town sometimes talk about bikers. They think you're rough or unfriendly." The boss laughed softly. "People believe many things until they see the truth for themselves." The mother nodded slowly. "Today we see the truth." To the boss's face grew thoughtful. "Let me ask something important. Are all of you feeling safe inside this home? Not just today, but in general." They all exchanged looks. After a moment, the mother said, "Seth, yes, just overwhelmed. Everything feels too heavy. And sometimes when the stress grows, we forget how to communicate kindly." The uncle added, "We've been working 2 jobs between us. Sometimes tempers rise, but no one here wants harm. We're just tired." The boss accepted the explanation fully. It matched what he had sensed from the beginning. There was no threat here, only a family in need of understanding and support. Lily touched her mother's hand. "I didn't know adults could be scared too." Her mother kissed her forehead. "Even adults get scared, my love, but we must be brave together." The boss smiled at their moment. "Lily, you were very brave today. You asked for help because you thought your mother needed it. That is something strong-hearted children do." Lily blushed slightly, hiding her face in her mother's shoulder. "I didn't know what else to do." "That's enough," the boss said kindly. "You did the right thing." He then looked at the mother again. "If it's okay with you, we'd like to help with the repairs. No cost, no expectations, just support." A tears formed in her eyes again, but this time they were warm, grateful tears. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. "You don't have to," the boss said. "Kindness doesn't need repayment." The grandmother added quietly, "It feels like life has been closing doors on us. Today feels like one finally opened." The bikers began checking more areas of the house. Light switches, the heater, the back door, and even the small roof leak they spotted from the window. The boss watched Lily play with the edge of his jacket, comforted by his presence. He knew now that this family wasn't facing danger. They were facing struggle. And struggle required hands that help, not hands that hurt. Lily looked up at him again. "Will things be okay now?" "Yes," the boss answered with confidence. "Because now you're not alone." And as he spoke, he already knew. Helping this family wasn't just a small act. It was the beginning of something much bigger. The moment the family agreed to let the bikers help, something in the house changed. The air felt lighter, almost as if the walls themselves were relieved that kindness had finally stepped inside. The boss stood up from the kitchen table and gave a small nod to his 2 bikers. They understood the signal instantly. One biker, named Tom, gently asked, "Where's the toolbox kept?" The uncle pointed toward a closet in the hallway. Tom went to get it without hesitation, already rolling up his sleeves. The second biker, Ray, inspected the blinking ceiling light again. "We'll fix this first," he said calmly. "Good lighting makes everything feel safer." Lily watched them with big, curious eyes. She had never seen people fix things so quietly and respectfully. There was no shouting, no rushing, no complaining. Just teamwork. Gentle, steady teamwork. The boss knelt beside Lily. "Would you like to help too? You can be my assistant." Her eyes brightened instantly. "Really?" "Of course," he smiled. "Assistants are very important." She stood proudly, ready for her job, holding his jacket like a cape around her small shoulders. Fixing the lights, Ray took out the loose wiring and tightened it carefully. Every time sparks flickered, he stepped back calmly and explained what he was doing, making sure Lily and the family felt safe. "Sometimes small problems make big worries," he said. This light only needed a little attention. He flipped the switch, the room filled with warm, steady light, no flicker, no buzzing. Lily gasped. "It looks magical," Ray laughed. "Not magic, just care." The family exchanged smiles. It had been a long time since simple things felt so hopeful. Repairing the door meanwhile, Tom was already working on the broken back door. The hinges were rusty and the frame was slightly warped. The uncle watched nervously. "It's very old, I don't know if it can be fixed." Tom tested the door gently. "Everything can be improved," he said confidently. "Just takes patience." Lily walked over and whispered to the boss, "He sounds like Mama." The boss chuckled softly. "Maybe your mother and Tom think the same way." And Tom removed the old hinge screws and replaced them with stronger ones from his own repair kit. The door straightened as he adjusted its position. Then he opened and closed it twice. Smooth, quiet, perfect. The uncle stood in shock. I've been worried about that door for months. The Tom shrugged kindly. Now you don't have to. The grandmother wiped her eyes. Bless you, all of you. This house hasn't felt this peaceful in years. A food warmth and kindness. The boss walked into the kitchen and opened the fridge. It was nearly empty. He didn't comment, he only asked, "Do you mind if we bring some groceries?" "Only basic things, nothing fancy." The mother hesitated. Pride and struggle always fight inside people. But then Lily tugged on her sleeve and whispered, "Mama, please." She sighed softly and nodded. "All right." The boss immediately made a call. Within 30 minutes, 2 more bikers arrived, bringing bags filled with fruit, bread, milk, vegetables, and warm blankets. The mother covered her mouth in shock. "This is too much. I don't want to take advantage." The boss placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "This isn't charity, it's support. The same support you would give someone if they needed it." The mother's eyes softened. "Thank you, truly." Lily's new friends while the adults talked. Lily walked around the house with her assistant duties, checking on repairs, handing tools, and asking endless questions. Why do wires flicker? Why does a door squeak? Why do bikers help people? Ray answered with a warm smile. "Because helping makes the world kinder." Tom added, "When people help each other, problems feel smaller." The boss looked at Lily. "And today you helped us too. We came because you were brave." Lily blushed again, shy but happy. "I just wanted Mama safe, and you made sure of it." The boss replied. A home transformed by evening. The nothing fancy, nothing expensive, but fixed, warm, organized, alive. The lights glowed, the door closed quietly. The heater worked again. Groceries filled the shelves. Blankets warmed the couch. But the biggest change wasn't something the eye could see. It was the feeling hope. For the first time in a long while, hope lived inside those walls. The mother looked around, taking in the repairs that filled the warmth. Tears filled her eyes, but these were not tears of sadness. They were tears of relief. "You don't know what this means to us," she whispered. "We were drowning silently, and today you pulled us out." The boss shook his head gently. "Your family is strong. We didn't save you. We just gave you a hand while you climb." The grandmother nodded. "You lifted our spirits. That's something money can't buy." The uncle added, "This house hasn't felt safe in a long time. Today it feels like home again." Lily hugged the boss suddenly, right around his waist. She held on tight. "Thank you," she whispered. "You helped my mama. You helped all of us." The boss rested a gentle hand on her back. "That's what people do. Lily, we help each other." And though no one said it out loud, everyone in the room could feel it. This was no longer just a repair visit. This was the beginning of a bond that would change all their lives. The next morning arrived gently, with soft sunlight touching the small house that had felt heavy only a day before. Something was different now. The air felt lighter, the home felt warmer, and the family woke up with a kind of peace they had not felt in months. Lily was the first to open her eyes. She ran to the back door and swung it open smoothly, amazed again at how quietly it moved. She giggled, closing and opening it again just to make sure it was real. "Mama! The door isn't loud anymore!" she called out happily. Her mother smiled from the kitchen, where she was preparing tea. She looked calmer today, her face softer, lighter. The repairs, the food, the kindness, they all worked together like a warm blanket around her heart. A knock sounded gently at the front door. Lily rushed over and opened it. The boss stood outside holding a small paper bag and a warm smile. "Good morning, Lily," he said. "I brought breakfast, nothing fancy. Just fresh bread and some fruit." Lily stepped aside proudly. "Come in. Our house is different now." He entered, noticing the glow in the mother's eyes. "How are you feeling today?" he asked. She breathed deeply. "Better than I have in a long time. Your help, it changed everything." The boss nodded. "Hard days happen to everyone, but you don't have to face them alone." Lily tugged at his sleeve. "Are the other bikers coming too?" He chuckled. "Maybe later. But today I want to talk to your mother about something important." The mother grew worried again. Something wrong?" "No," he said gently. "Something good. A visit to the community center after breakfast." The boss asked permission to take the mother and Lily to the local community center. She hesitated, unsure, but agreed. She had learned yesterday that trusting good people could lead to blessings she never expected. The community center was quiet that morning. Volunteers arranged books, stacked boxes of supplies, and filled out forms. The director, a kind woman with silver hair, walked toward them as soon as she saw the boss. "You always bring important guests," she said warmly. "How can we help today?" The mother looked shyly at the floor. The boss stepped beside her. "This is Lily's mother. She's been going through a difficult time. I think she could use guidance for job support, financial counseling, and maybe some programs for the family." The director's eyes softened. "Of course. We have resources for all of those. You are welcome here." The mother's eyes filled with surprise. "I didn't know places like this still cared." The director smiled kindly. We care more than you think. They spent an hour talking. The community center offered a job skills program, a weekly food support box, free home repair workshops, a small scholarship for Lily to join weekend activities, counseling for stress and emotional health. The mother listened with gratitude so deep it nearly overwhelmed her. I never asked for help before. The director touched her hand. You asked for help the moment you walked in the door. That's enough. Lily climbed onto her mother's lap and whispered, Mama, this feels like a happy place. The boss nodded. Good people make places feel that way. The neighbors stepped forward. When they returned home, something unexpected happened. Several neighbors stood outside the house waiting. Yesterday's events had spread quietly around town. Not the dramatic version, but the true, gentle version. People heard how a little girl ran for help, how bikers came not with noise but with kindness, how the family had struggled silently, how the house was repaired with love and steady hands. A neighbor stepped forward holding a bag of groceries. We heard you're going through a tough time. We brought some extra food. Another approached with a toolbox. If anything else is broken, I can help fix it. A teacher from Lily's school arrived. Lily is a sweet girl. If she needs extra support at school, let us know. The mother covered her mouth, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. I never expected this. The boss stood beside her, watching the growing circle of support. Sometimes, he said softly, people want to help. They just need to know when and how. Lily ran from person to person, thanking them with small hugs and cheerful smiles. The town had seen her fear yesterday. Today they saw her joy. A warm gathering as the sun lowered in the sky. The street outside the house looked alive with quiet kindness. Neighbors talked, shared ideas, offered help. Some brought blankets, some offered small jobs for the mother, and others simply stayed to listen. The mother felt herself becoming part of something she had forgotten, community. Not the kind that watches from afar, but the kind that steps closer when someone is struggling. She looked at the boss with shining eyes. You didn't just fix my house. You connected us to people who care. He nodded. A strong community is like a net. When one person falls, everyone helps catch them. The grandmother, holding a warm cup of tea, said softly, We thought we were alone, but we were surrounded by angels this whole time. The boss smiled. Not angels, just people trying to make the world kinder. Lily slipped her small hand into his. Does this mean everything will be okay now? He knelt to her level. Yes, Lily, because now your family has many hands holding them up. And as the sky turned orange and gold, the street glowed with something even brighter, hope, shared, carried, and given freely by everyone who cared. This was not just support. This was the community becoming family. Evening settled softly around the small neighborhood. Warm lights glowed from houses, and the air carried a calm sense of togetherness. After the neighbors left, the home felt full, not with noise but with comfort. Lily sat on the living room floor with crayons scattered around her, her tongue sticking out slightly as she focused on her drawing. The boss watched her with a gentle smile. He had planned to check on the heater one last time before leaving, but something about the peaceful scene made him pause. What are you working on? He asked. Lily held up her paper proudly. It showed 3 bikers standing in front of a house, smiling, with a little girl in the middle holding their hands. Above it, in wobbly letters she had written, My heroes. The boss's heart softened. That's beautiful, Lily. She scooted closer to him. I made it for you. And for the others, too. He took the picture carefully as if it were as fragile as glass. Thank you. It means more than you know. Lily leaned against him. Can I tell you something? He sat down beside her. Of course. You can tell me anything? She hesitated, looking down at her small hands. Yesterday I was really scared. I thought something bad was happening to Mama. I ran so fast to find you because I felt like you would save her. The boss listened, giving her time. She continued quietly. And today when you came back and fixed things and brought food and took us to the center, I felt safe. Really safe. He nodded slowly. You were very brave, Lily. You protected your mother in the only way you knew how. That's something special. She looked up at him with big, honest eyes. I don't ever want to feel that scared again. The boss placed a hand on her shoulder. You won't be alone anymore. Your family is stronger now, and your community is here for you. And whenever you need support, we're not far. Her eyes lit up. Really? Really? He said. A promise from the heart. Lily crawled over to her crayons again and picked up a pink one. I want to make you a promise, she said. A promise. He repeated, amused and touched. She nodded seriously. Yes, yesterday I was scared. Today I'm brave. And tomorrow I want to be strong. She pressed her hand over her tiny chest. I promise I will be strong for my mama. I won't run alone next time. I'll talk to her. I'll be her helper. The boss felt emotion rise in his chest. Children had a way of turning fear into something bright, something hopeful. That's a beautiful promise, he said softly, and I believe you'll keep it. Lily grinned. Do you want to know the second part? There's a second part. He chuckled. She nodded proudly. I promise that I will always remember what you did. And when I grow up, I will help people too, just like you." The boss's breath caught for a moment. He wasn't used to praise, he mostly lived quietly, helping when he could, without expecting anything in return. But hearing a little girl promise to grow kinder because of him, this was something he would never forget. He placed a gentle hand on her hair. "If the world has more people like you, Lily, it will be a better place." A mother's gratitude. Lily's mother entered the room quietly, overhearing the last part of their conversation. Her eyes softened as she watched her daughter sitting comfortably beside the very man she had once feared strangers like. "Lily," her mother said with a smile, "it's time for dinner." Lily hugged the boss quickly before running to the kitchen. The mother approached him, her voice low and emotional. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "You didn't just fix our home. You changed the way my daughter sees the world." The boss shook his head. "Your daughter already had a good heart. She only needed someone to show her that people can be kind." Tears gathered in the mother's eyes, not from sadness but from relief. "I spent many nights worrying. I felt like I was failing. But today, for the first time in months, I feel hope. You're stronger than you think," he said warmly. "And now you have people around you who care." A final gift before the boss stood to leave, Lily returned from the kitchen carrying something behind her back. "I made this for you too," she said shyly. She handed him a bracelet made of colorful rubber bands. It was uneven and stretched, but full of love. "It's for when you go help other people," she explained. "So you don't forget us." The boss looked down at the bracelet, touched beyond words. He slipped it onto his wrist. "I won't forget," he promised. "Not ever." Lily smiled so brightly it filled the room with warmth. The night ends with hope. As the boss walked toward the door, Lily followed him closely, hugging him again before he stepped outside. The cool evening breeze greeted him, carrying the sounds of children playing 2 houses away and neighbors chatting softly. Lily waved from the doorway. "Come back soon, we have more pictures to give you." He smiled. "I will." And as he walked to his motorcycle, the bracelet on his wrist catching the light, he realized something. He had come here to help a frightened child. But he was leaving with a piece of her courage, her trust, and her bright promise for the future. And in that simple, heartfelt promise, the entire story found its purpose. The week after the bikers first arrived at Lily's home turned into something no one in the small town expected. What began as one frightened child seeking help had grown into a story that touched almost everyone. People who barely spoke to each other before now shared warm smiles across fences. Strangers waved kindly on the street, and the little house at the end of the block felt like the center of a gentle, quiet miracle. The boss returned every few days, not to check on repairs but to check on hearts. He always said, "A fixed home is good, but a supported home is better." His small acts of kindness built bridges where there were once only distances. One bright afternoon, he arrived again. Lily spotted the motorcycle from the window and ran to the front door shouting, "He's here! He's here!" Her joy echoed through the whole house. The boss stepped inside and found Lily proudly holding up a new drawing. This time she had drawn the entire neighborhood standing together with bright colors and smiling faces. At the center stood the bikers. Above them she had written, "Kindness makes the world strong." The boss felt his chest grow warm. "You're becoming quite the artist," he said. Lily grinned. "I'm practicing. I want to show people what you taught me." "And what did I teach you?" he asked gently. "That helping people makes everything better," she answered without hesitation. The family's new beginning. The mother walked in with a calm, peaceful glow that had replaced the exhaustion she once carried. She greeted the boss with a warm smile. "I wanted to tell you," she said. "The community center helped me apply for a new job. I had an interview yesterday." The boss brightened. "That's wonderful news. How did it go?" "I think it went well," she said, almost afraid to hope. But hope still shone in her eyes. "And even if I don't get this one, they said they'll help me find another. That's what support is for," he replied. The uncle added from the dining room, "I also found part-time work through a neighbor who heard about our situation." The grandmother nodded proudly. "Everything feels like it's turning around." Lily danced in a little circle. "We're not scared anymore." The boss looked around the home. It wasn't perfect. The furniture was still old. The kitchen tiles were chipped. The walls had faded patches. But the energy in the air had changed completely. It wasn't the repairs that made the difference. It was the connection, the unity, the courage. "You've all come a long way," he said sincerely. "The town learns the truth about bikers. Word about what happened spread slowly but steadily. Not in dramatic gossip, but in warm conversations at grocery stores and parks. People who used to judge the bikers by their leather jackets now saw something deeper. They saw compassion, they saw loyalty, they saw a willingness to help without asking for anything in return. One elderly man told a neighbor, "Those bikers, they're the kindest folks around. They helped that little girl's family when no one else knew they needed it." A teacher from Lily's school said, "That biker boss. He walked her to class yesterday to make sure she felt safe. Little by little, the image of the bikers changed. People no longer crossed the street when they saw them. Instead, they smiled, waved, even asked for advice on repairs or support. The boss never bragged, never accepted rewards. When someone tried to praise him, he simply said, "Kindness is stronger when it stays quiet." But the town knew. They saw, they remembered. A special gift from the community. One Saturday morning, the community gathered at the park, the same park where Lily had run to the bikers for help. But this time, the air was filled with joy, not fear. A small stage had been set up, children held balloons. Neighbors held homemade signs with messages like, "Thank you for caring. Our heroes on wheels. Kindness rides with you." When the bikers arrived, they were confused at first. The boss rode up slowly, unsure what was happening. Lily ran forward and took his hand. "Come with me," she said excitedly. The director of the community center stepped onto the stage with a microphone. "Today," she announced, "we want to honor the people who reminded us what it means to be a community." As she gestured toward the bikers, applause filled the air. The boss looked humble, almost embarrassed. He whispered to Lily, "We didn't do this for attention." "I know," she whispered back. "That's why you deserve it." The director presented the boss with a framed certificate. It wasn't fancy, but it carried meaning. For acts of kindness that strengthened our town. He accepted it quietly. Then Lily stepped forward holding something small, a bracelet made from colorful beads. She slipped it around the certificate's corner. "So you never forget us," she said softly. The crowd's applause grew louder. Children cheered. Neighbors smiled brightly. The bikers looked around, touched by the show of appreciation. The boss raised a hand gently. "Thank you, everyone. But the real credit belongs to this brave little girl. She asked for help when she needed it most. She is the heart of this story." Everyone turned toward Lily, who hid shyly behind him as people clapped. Her mother cried happy tears, holding her close. A forever bond. As the sun began to set, the bikers prepared to ride home. Lily hugged the boss tightly around the waist. "Promise you'll come back," she said. He ruffled her hair. "I promise. Family isn't only about blood. Sometimes it's about the people who show up when you need them." She smiled. "Then you're our family now." He nodded. "And you're ours." The motorcycle started humming gently. The bikers rode off, not as strangers, not as outsiders, but as protectors of a little town that finally understood the power of quiet, steady kindness. Lily stood at the edge of the park, watching the bikes disappear into the warm evening sky. She didn't feel fear anymore. She felt safe. She felt strong. And she knew the day she ran crying for help didn't just change her life, it changed the whole town.